Hey there everybody, hope your day's going well. Jared Old School Gaming here, and welcome back to another Thoughtful Thursday. Going through Alicization Part 1. Well, part 1 of the first part, which I've said it before, it's kind of confusing. It's like, all of Alicization is only considered Season 3 officially. So, I don't know what... but whatever. So, in the meantime, because the Alicization arc does introduce a fair number of characters. I mean, hell, it's essentially a whole new world, really. But very few have, like, lasting time on the show. A lot of characters, like, hell, the, like the blacksmith, or hell, even Kirito's teacher, Yujio's teacher, when they're pages, they have some kind of influence, but not a whole lot. So I'm just going to be going over, like, the main ones, because, I mean, yeah, there's the, because one thing to note, though, is that the, like, Kirito, Yujio, and Alice, in their, in their child time, in the premiere episode, they are still voiced by the same people. Kirito is still Bryce Papenbrook. And then Yujio is voiced by Brandon Winkler, or is it supposed to be Winkler or Winkler? I don't know. I probably pronounced it wrong both ways, and it's like, oh, this letter's silent. Oh, okay. And anyway, moving on, we have Alice, voiced by Kaylee Mills. And yeah, like I said, all three of them are voicing their child selves and the teenage adult selves. It's just like their voices were, like, put through a pitch to make them sound much younger. And then this time we do get to meet someone who definitely has some impact on the overall story. Is Kojiro Rinko, who is Akihiko's nurse girlfriend, voiced by Jennifer Losey. So, I mean, there are other characters that eventually do get to have more of an impact in the story, but for now, that those are the characters. I can go over the voice actors for the other characters next time in part 2 of the main Alicization, or the intro to Alicization. I don't know. Yeah, but regardless, the opening credits. Well, we have Lisa once again with Adamus. I mean, I absolutely love the song, and like, the sequence starts to mirror the growth of Underworld alongside the growth of Yujio. I mean, Kirito technically has already grown up, and Alice doesn't really get a childhood to grow up in. But, well, yeah, that's something of a story. The tempo of the sequence just makes kind of a quick edit of everything happening, and kind of related to the arc. You don't really pick up on too much. I mean, you might pick up on the the laughing coffin symbol, but I mean, unless you're actually looking for something, then you don't really pick too much up on it. And then, of course, there's Asuna standing on the sea turtle. Kirito and Yujio fighting in, like, perfect sequence, and having some super complicated secret handshake before they leave to pursue their goals. And then the ending credits is, well, the song itself is Iris by Aoi, and the visualization kind of follows Yujio as he walks through the town. It kind of reminisces about his childhood, and, well, mainly about Alice regretting that he couldn't do anything to save her, even though he more or less forgot about Kirito for reasons. He does get to show up, and, Kirito shows up and lends Yujio a hand, so he can eventually head out and actually find Alice. The first episode, Underworld. Honestly, I love the fact that it's a a 1 hour premiere. And honestly, I was confused at first, just like, what in the hell am I watching? I mean, I know Kirito. Who are these other two? Why is Kirito a kid? What's going on? It does get delved in that he was actually diving, and of course he can't remember anything because, like, the real world and the virtual world memories are blocked from each other in, like, well, in the specialized dive. I mean, hell, I've never read the light novels. I have done a little bit of research, which is why I, think that the Aincrad arc should have been stretched out a hell of a lot more, because the light novels actually touched on it a lot. But, yeah, so, they're making, like, a weird S with their hands, and using system call to use spells, and talking about something called the Taboo Index. Yes, it does all get explained later, just at first it's confusing. I mean, hell, the kids want their lunch to last longer, so they go, like, on a quest to gather ice from the dragon's cave, only to get lost inside. And Alice ends up being the one who breaks the Taboo Index by just barely touching the border between, like, the human realm and the dark realm. And then an Integrity Knight shows up the next morning to take Alice and have her executed. Which, I mean, obviously she doesn't, but even that just seems a little severe. But everyone's just going along with it, and it's just like, has everyone been brainwashed or something? Kirito wakes up, which is just like, what the hell? and then the second half goes, like, has a super fast-paced tone, because Sinon is running from some players in GGO. Then all of a sudden she gets backed up by Klein, riding shotgun in a giant Humvee with his own assault rifle. Liz driving with a shotgun. Silica is on a mounted machine gun on the back of the truck. Then Kirito and Asuna both hop out and charge head first with their photon sword. Oh, I love that. I love that opening. Things at least go well as they are, fighting against the team retreats, because apparently it's not conducive to their training, but, well, yeah, given what those players are doing in the real world later on, yeah. And hell, as Sinon, Kirito, and Asuna gather up, it's just kind of a... Sinon wants help with the next Bullets tournament, not just from Kirito, but Asuna as well. Because Sinon wants the top spot, and someone else essentially took the top spot in the 4th tournament from her. But if she has backup from a couple allies, so be it. Hell, maybe that can help, especially since they're both running around the battlefield with photon swords. What's really interesting is that Kirito talks about the full dive, well, not really a full dive, but more of a soul translator with Project Wrath. It's kind of more than a VR experience. It's just like a sped up with the Fluct Light acceleration. Yeah, the experience, several weeks or hell, even a month, is just within the span of a few days or so. And of course, there is, like, the power of main character, but there's also the curse of main character. Because Kirito asks Asuna to go with him to a new project somewhere in the States. And wouldn't you know, yeah, of course Asuna agrees, but of course the final surviving member of Laughing Coffin gets to show up with a needle. Yeah. And of course, you hear the and roll credits. God damn those cliffhangers. Because at this point, like, for when I was first watching this, it was week to week as it was coming out. I'm just, oh, god damn it. Really? You have to end it like that? Now I have to wait a whole week? Yeah, at least in this review format, it's a little different. So, right, the second episode, The Demon Tree. Now, the thing is, like, Kirito was talking at the beginning of the Phantom Bullet arc, so Season 2, how, like, the difference between the real world and the virtual world was the amount of data. But in the Soul Translator, or STL, the amount of data is as much as the brain can entirely process. So, yeah, it's quite something. Versus the, like, well, no, not the Agma, oh, wait. Right. It was the atmosphere. I had to look that up. It took me a minute, too, just like, where's the goddamn info? Everything's saying nerve gear. Like, no, what's the second one? The atmosphere. Right, because the atmosphere, hell, even the nerve gear, only communicates back and forth with the brain, but the STL uses the brain. Like, essentially, like, already in the brain, and yeah, it essentially just, like, puts the brain inside rather than communicating with the brain. And while Kirito can't remember what happened after he left Eagle's place, he does know that he shouldn't remember that at all, period. He shouldn't remember, like, being at Eagle's place or leaving. There should be a block. Yeah. He arrives at the Demon Tree and meets Yu-Gi-Oh! Again, first time. He starts learning about the world and, like, how to use the Stasia window, which is, like, the... Okay, I have to do it, like, backwards for me. Yeah. And, learning a bit about the taboo index, like, there's no stealing, there's no abandoning your calling. Well, it was like a 47,000 total durability to the Demon Tree. Only about 50 gets knocked off per month. Yeah, Kirito gets labeled as a child of Vecta, basically someone who was, like, abducted, had all their memories erased, and then just placed in the middle of the forest. Kirito gets in town, shows off some sword skills, and gets, essentially told what the schedule is by Selka before, having an internal debate about how he's going to navigate this new virtual world. Episode 3, The End Mountains. At least right now, Kirito does, seem to be focused on moving forward, getting out of the small town. He knows he can't do it alone, he'll need Yu-Gi-Oh's help, and gets to learn more about the taboo index, as well as, like, getting Yu-Gi-Oh's perspective on what happened to Alice, because Kirito can't actually remember that. And Yu-Gi-Oh's even just super determined because he believes that Alice is still alive, and he's just super determined. However, Selka didn't actually know what happened, and her curiosity got the better of her, and Yu-Gi-Oh knew what would happen if Selka actually knew what happened to Alice. The boys make it to the cave to try and either stop Selka from going or maybe save her. Then a horde of goblins have apparently already abducted her. Didn't realize I started watching Goblin Slayer. But one thing of note is that there's kind of like I guess you could say almost a philosophical debate at times, where it's just like, people don't really understand certain words unless you give context to them. Like, Yu-Gi-Oh uses a system call thing to, like, light up some kind of cottontail flower thing. And Kirito, with the context of what a system is on the outside, he's just, why do you say system call? Apparently it's to, like, calm the gods of the world, so that way they grant a small amount of power to you. Apparently. Yes, episode 4, Departure. So, of course, it wasn't until they were discovered Kirito starts to charge in, he actually gets a good cut on his arm that just hurts like hell. And okay, like maybe virtual worlds might kind of simulate pain. This STL actually produces pain. Because again, it's more than just communicating to the brain. It's using the brain to be in there. It's like inside the brain. And even though the brain doesn't have any nerve endings, the brain is what processes pain. Like how the other day I stubbed the hell out of my toe, and it hurt like hell. I had to lay down for a couple minutes just to, massage my, I brought my foot up to me and I massaged my toes a bit. It hurt like hell, and the brain is what processes that pain. So when Kirito's full brain is part of the game, the brain processes all that pain. And even though Yu-Gi-Oh's memories of when Kirito as a child was in the town were erased, it's high stressful emotional moments are what trigger memories to come back. Because he even says, hey, just like when we were kids, the three of us will go on an adventure again. However, being so inexperienced with fighting or anything, Yuji just gets a huge gash across his gut. Yeah. At least Kirito does win by, slicing off the leader's head and then just holding it up as a trophy and a warning to the other goblins. Just, hey, unless you want this to happen to you, get the hell out. All the goblins run. And Yu-Gi-Oh's life, Fluctlight, whatever, does manage to get saved, because Salka does transfer Kirito's hit points and her own hit points into Yu-Gi-Oh in order to regenerate and save him. And yet then some mysterious voice asks Kirito to bring Yu-Gi-Oh with him to the central library. It seems, and it seems as though in the virtual world that you need to take action and kill something in order to gain more more control authority. And held the blue rose sword that Yu-Gi-Oh brought in the town, their control authority now exceeds that. Now both Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh can wield the blue rose sword. Kirito helps to train Yu-Gi-Oh in the in what he calls the Einkrad style. Yeah, but Yu-Gi-Oh does manage to deliver the final blow that chops down the demon tree, which allows him to choose his second calling, and he picks swordsman. Hell, he still wants to find Alice, because he believes she never died. He's held, nice little celebration in town, the demon tree has been taken down, and hell, a heartfelt goodbye to Selka. Yu-Gi-Oh gets to depart with Kirito to the capital. Okay, episode 5, the Ocean Turtle. This is what makes this arc of Sword Art Online just better in my own opinion. Because, finally we have answers to what is happening outside of the virtual world. Kirito's heart apparently stopped for a full 5 minutes, so yeah, very, very high probability of brain damage, and the doctor wants to transfer him to a more specialized facility, but Kikuoka gets involved, of course, and questions just start piling up, because Kirito just vanished off the face of the earth, and hell, even because he developed an app from the heart monitor that was just installed inside of him. That way Asuna could just see its heartbeat. But it just stopped transmitting. Yui was the one who managed to trace it, its final signal point, near a warehouse district, just kind of off on an ocean warehouse pier kind of thing. And hell, even with the entire harem plus Klein trying to figure things out, also Asuna's the one who gets it, And, finding out that the Soul Translator is based off of the Medicuboid, which was, of course, developed by Kaiba's nurse lover. Damn, what was her name? Kojiro Rinka. I'm just gonna call her Rinka from now on. Yeah, and then how, Rinko actually got an invite to Project Wrath to help them figure certain things out, and how she brings Asuna, and they went through 20 layers of security to try, to finally get into the main control room. They changed the picture of Rinko's assistant in the official files in order to get past all that, and Asuna comes up and she doesn't ask, she demands to see Kirito. Project Alicization, quite interesting, because, it's a lot of exposition for, what's going on. Yeah, Kikuoka with Project Wrath tried to copy, a handful of human souls. The only problem is, the copy of someone's Floodlight can't accept that it's a copy. Yeah, it self-terminates itself because the logic processor can't handle the concept and it just overloads. and how the main point of the project is to create a bottom-up AI. Because most AI that is out in the world, because people are stupid and keep developing more AI crap, most of it is given a bunch of information and then has the ability to learn more. But the bottom-up AI has absolutely nothing but the potential to learn, which, how, Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't really understand the word system the way Kirito does. And of course, with a true bottom-up AI that just learns everything, they would want, an AI that is willing to take a life and, essentially be on the battlefield. Yeah, let's hope that, honestly, do you want Terminator? Because that's how you get Terminator. But but they have encountered a problem with trying to do that, because when the Taboo Index was issued, it's every single NPC, or every single Floodlight, just follows it to the letter. How the capital, whatever the hell it's called, the capital city is just absolutely perfect, clean. There's no litter, there's no murder, there's nothing. But it's too perfect. It's these Floodlights do have emotions, so you think is there no crimes of passion? Apparently not. Everyone just follows the Taboo Index to the letter. So they had an idea to put a human in there, which that human being Kirito, see if he could influence someone to break the rules. Which kinda he did, he didn't, but then again kind of he didn't, because it was more Alice was just concerned for the life of another living thing and started walking towards them in a trance. It wasn't really Kirito that did it, but then again it was Kirito's suggestion to go get ice from the cave. Maybe there was something to it. And of course they found it kind of ironic that the person who broke the rule was someone named Alice, given that the acronym for Project Alice was Artificial Labile Intelligence Cybernated Existence. That is one hell of a mouthful. Unfortunately, Alice's Floodlight had apparently been altered. They couldn't figure out how. What? Having a moment alone, Rinko does apologize for what Kaiba had done in terms of the whole Aincrad incident. Yeah, but Asuna reassures her that, yes, maybe they were trapped in Aincrad for 2 years. Yeah, Asuna is deeply in love with Kirito, and Kirito with her, and without that, they would never have met or fallen in love. And, Rinko shouldn't carry that weight. Although she does seem to be, Rinko herself does seem to be having weird, lucid dream that Kaiba's there with her. Yeah, foreshadow much. Well, at least with, episode 7, the Swordcraft Academy, jump back into the virtual world, and apparently Like, in there, it's been 2 years. 2 freaking years. I understand that time in the dive is sped up, versus when observed from the outside. But I just can't believe that Kirito is still, like, okay with what's happening. Personally, I'd probably lose my mind being stuck in a place for 2 years, unable to get out when I want desperately to get out. I guess, hell, maybe Kirito's ability to just roll with the punches is better than most. At least both he and Yu-Gi-Oh, enroll in Swordcraft Academy with the goal to become Integrity Knights eventually, which for Kirito means access to the Central Tower. Yeah, and he gets to train under Sortilena Serlu. Okay, we're sticking with the simple one, Serlu. Yeah, and he's spent at least the past year waiting for a craftsman to finish his own sword, which apparently came from the tip of the demon tree. Yeah, and the craftsman even says he'll let Kirito keep it if he can handle it, because it's like, the sword itself is so tough, so hard, that he burned through, like, what, 7 or was it more or less? He burned through a lot of grinding stones, just like getting it into shape. But it's so unique that even the craftsman is just, you know what, you can pay me, or if you can actually handle it, I'll let you keep it. Yeah, of course, the power of main character, he can handle it. And now he's super excited, just, ready to try out different moves with it. But then he accidentally knocks some mud onto who was it? First Elite Disciple Volo Levantane's uniform. Yeah. Yeah, and, he can forgive Kirito for being excited with the new sword, practicing on a day of rest, but he does demand retribution for soiling the uniform, and requests a first strike duel as opposed to stop short, so, like, whoever gets hurt first. Yeah, the swordsman's pride. Apparently, like, within this underworld, like the soul translator, whatever, it's more than just the imagination of someone that gives them the strength, but how they see that imagination coming to life. And hell, it was Levantine imagines that all of his ancestors that passed the sword technique through the generations all the way into him are there backing him up. And, Kirito's just, okay, well, if that's how it is, and this thing came from the absolute strength of the demon tree, standing for centuries, enduring through, well, everything. and Levantine does actually, accepts his defeat with humility. Hell, even later on, when he has his own duel with Kirito's teacher, Serlu, he ends up losing and is, able to accept that fact. Kind of surprising, because, like, it's almost like the first impression of him was just like a stern, super proud man who would never accept defeat. But at least he does have enough humility. However, of course, there are 2 other noble students who are just complete jag-offs, just, oh, hey, well, you weren't born into a noble house, you were born way out in the stakes, you just roll around in the mud and you're disgusting. Honestly, like, rolling around in the mud, you keep the bugs off of you, whereas, like, if you are constantly cleaning, constantly grooming yourself, bugs actually do like to go through silky smooth areas. Hell, the jackasses even destroy, like, a flower plot that Kirito was growing to try and give to Serlu, because it was, like, her favorite flower, and he, like, had to make several attempts just to get them to grow. But the mysterious voice does, help him to take, like, a small amount of life force from every single flower in the garden to restore his flowers. And hell, at least at that point, both Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh become disciples with their own pages, and the pages really admire them since they're both, they're both very nice, very friendly boys. Giving, Kirito even gives some tips on how to take shortcuts, like through windows, and get some, nice bakery items from a nearby place. But then, of course, the good times can't last. Yeah, Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh, of course they are disciples with their own pages, and the whole virtual system seems to be like a confidence, like how much confidence someone has in their own ability, because Yu-Gi-Oh was trained under Balto, who has just massive confidence in his muscle of steel. Even who was it? Levantine. Yeah, Levantine, who Kirito dueled, had the confidence that everything he was taught, and that his father was taught, and his grandfather was taught, the confidence in that teaching passed down through the ages is what gives him so much strength. And Yu-Gi-Oh needs to figure out what makes him strong. Yeah, these Floodlights are more human than NPC, because, while the nobles do follow the taboo index, they find ways to circumvent around it in order to satisfy themselves. Yeah. Hell, there's even a duel between Yu-Gi-Oh and Humbert. Yeah, Humbert, that was his name. Yeah, and as Yu-Gi-Oh's character develops, he's kind of questioning things, the whole system and the taboo index. Yeah, maybe having a human there that wasn't born in the underworld, has knowledge of the outside world, maybe that is what starts influencing the Floodlights to break the taboo index, so to speak. Because Yu-Gi-Oh kind of started off as a quiet sidekick at the beginning, but very quickly develops into his own self. And even the other noble, Rios? Yeah, Rios? Rios, called it as a draw. Yu-Gi-Oh, being trained by Kirito, would have won. Yeah, especially considering just that Humber was too confident in his style. I mean, it was probably powerful, but it was his arrogance that would have been his undoing in that duel. Yeah, both the little ass farts try to say that their training methods are too far off the mark. Humbert admits to, oh god, Humbert tries to say that, my duel with you was just so taxing on me, I needed a massage in the bath. And in order for my page not to soil her uniform, I let her strip down to her underwear while giving me the massage. That's just... Yeah, you may not be breaking the taboo index, but you are a piece of crap. At least Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh now can confirm that it's the two jagoffs causing trouble for Tisei and Ronye, or I might be pronouncing that wrong. Yeah. But whatever. I mean, they don't last too much longer. They do kind of make a comeback, but yeah. Ronye wants to kind of move up in the world, but in order to do that, given the rules for nobles in the world, she'll have to marry a nobleman of equal or higher rank, and asks Yu-Gi-Oh to promise that he'll gain some kind of noble title and marry her one day. Yeah. Oh boy, the taboo index episode, wow. When I first saw it, I actually paused on the warning screen that comes before this episode, just, oh hey, viewer discretion advised, and I'm just, what the... Yeah, it does definitely get a bit disturbing. Because, Humber and Rios are just absolutely just disgusting nobles who circumvent the taboo index. Because it seems as though nobles of rank can issue binding orders to any noble of lower rank or any commoner. Yeah, and that's like a pure order that is like just part of the world. Well, part of the virtual system, but as far as they know, it's just part of the world. And their idea of punishing Tisei and Ranya, because both those pages came up to Humbert and Rios, just said, hey, can you not be nicer? Can you not treat people better? And apparently that was a direct insult. And their idea of punishment was to tie them up and lock them in a bedroom. And Yujiro tries to step in, and he couldn't because of the system alert code 871. But through like the sheer willpower of just like knowing what they are doing, even if it is okay with the taboo index, what they're doing is wrong and should be stopped. And he breaks through, just completely ruptures his own eye, and he cuts off Rios' arm. Yeah. Humbert tries to take advantage of the moment by drawing his own sword, but because the bursting of the eye was like a once out, just whoa, what the hell just happened? Yeah, but of course the power main character Kirito shows up just in the nick of time, cuts off both of Humbert's hands, and Humbert, like, holy crap, it just like glitches out on the floor. Just that was definitely creepy. The whole Fluctlight, his whole Fluctlight was just like crashing out, I guess. I mean, hell, honestly, they both deserve that and more. And even though they both technically broke the taboo index, Yuju gets healed and praised for standing up to the nobles. And when you're not at the end, they are taken in front of an integrity knight. Alice, who now calls herself Alice Synthesis 30. And my computer's doing some updates. Then, as for the Central Cathedral episode, outside of the Underworld simulation, things are a little slow because, well, obviously there's a lot more happening in a time lapse. Yeah, but there's a robot that just kind of wanders around that's a prototype for bringing floodlights out of the underworld and then into a robot. And the thing is, like, in order to program a robot to actually walk around, because like a person walking around, the brain just subconsciously makes hundreds of micro adjustments to keep balance, for the most part. I mean, yeah, people do trip over things, and hell, you can probably go into the YouTube search bar, just like look up a tripping compilation and see people tripping and falling over all the damn time. Sometimes people do lose balance, but for the most part, the brain subconsciously makes all the calculations necessary to stay upright. And in order to program that into a robot with programming put into it, that requires a lot of processing power and a lot of calculations, and there needs to be a lot of hardware that stores the calculations that run all the time, which would produce a lot of energy. So it'd be like, move 5 feet from the plug, and you're down. Because it takes up that much power. But if they put a floodlight, like essentially the soul of a human, into the robot, and then have that robot, have them move around inside the robot, it would require a lot less processing power, because it's just any human that can stand knows how to make all those calculations subconsciously. And of course, there's the whole being able to speak and depth perception, and it requires a lot of processing power. But in the underworld, both Kirito and Yujo are in prison. The authority control limit on the chains they're bound by. Kirito gets the idea to hit them on each other to get them to break, and it works. And hell, Yujo's determined because he wants to confront Alice to find out why she doesn't even remember him or anything, because he is absolutely 100% certain that, yeah, that is definitely Alice. You know, the hair, the eyes, the voice, that is absolutely her. And hell, they reach, apparently roses are very rare, and they reach some kind of garden area with a bunch of roses, and they're confronted by, Synthesis at 31, a new Integrity Knight, apparently, Eldry Wolfsburg. Now, the fight itself, on episode 12, Sage of the Library, the fight itself is quite something, because Eldry has a whip that, he actually has a new system called that hasn't been used before, which is, recall recollection or something like, release recollection. I had the R in the first word. He, uses release recollection, and, Kirito sees the length of the whip and just goes, oh, please, we don't have anything to worry about. But, the whip, it just starts extending far beyond what it should. And the thing is, Yu-Gi-Oh! Remembers the name Eldry Wolfsburg, because he recently won, a unification tournament that's, held every year. They continue to question him, and some, triangular prism starts coming out of his head, because, the trigger is being able to remember his own mother. But, it's oh, hey, here's a moment, maybe something's happening. Nope, too soon. Someone has to interfere, shooting an arrow into Kirito's foot. Ouch. And then they run to what should be a dead end, but then someone, a magical voice, just opens up a doorway. It's just like a portal out of nowhere. They dive in, and the door closes behind them. And then we get to meet the, cardinal admin for Underworld. And then we get to find out who exactly the Pontifex is. At least, she does send Yu-Gi-Oh! To, go clean himself up, and then talk straight to Kirito, because, she is essentially the cardinal system now. Apparently this Pontifex was one of the early Flicklights that learned how to raise her own control authority. She went around gathering followers and healing and, killing the critters. And, she's able to do it all with all the knowledge that she gained just by using the different system commands. And then she wrote the Taboo Index so that, to ensure herself that no one would ever surpass her authority. But the whole aging, that's kind of a problem, because, she wanted to just live forever, and she kept trying to call up, a list, that, the entire command list for every single possible command. Cardinal even suspects that maybe someone on the outside helped her. But she gets to freely control her own Floatlight at that point, stopping her aging, healing herself, reversing her aging to her late teens, and put the system control authority and wrote that into her own Floatlight, and so that way she could just roll forever, because she, stopped her aging altogether. How human of her, actually. How human. Because, that is definitely something I could see a human doing in order to, gain power and just avoid dying and rule over everyone, and put the taboo index out there, so that way no one would ever, go over her authority, or past it, or whatever. So anyway, I'm gonna stop right there, because, the limit on the time constraints, 12 hours. This hits just over 12 hours, so 12 episodes in, I think that's Well, 12 episodes in would technically be 6.5 hours because of the 1 hour premiere. Yeah, my math is right. So, yeah, I will get back into this next month, and, I mean, hell, I'm halfway through this season. And, yeah, I do like this. I do really enjoy the Alicization arc, because, you know, the balance of, you know, what's in the underworld, what's outside the underworld. And yeah, there's obviously more going on in the underworld, mainly because of the time lapse, but yeah, honestly, that's what makes this arc in the anime shine so much better, so much brighter, at least to me. You could almost say, like a diamond. Okay, I'm sorry. If you don't get it, that's one of the lyrics to the, to Lisa's song for the opening. So I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't, hit that bell so you can always be notified whenever I upload another video, and as always, have fun.